Good evening, everyone. It is your man Bat Blood 24 back again with another episode of Cafe Yesterday. It has been quite some time since I've last spoken to you guys, and I want to apologize for that. But hey, school comes first. School does come first. Now, before we get into this, I've got to clarify something. Today was profound for me in a number of ways. And we're going to get into why in just a second. First of all, I went to my very first ever convention, Collecticon. And I just want to give a huge shout out to all of the convention organizers, to all the staff at the Charlotte Convention Center, um, every one of those vendors that had such amazing products, as well as the special guests that rolled through that were just so inviting to everyone, including a first timer like myself. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for showing a rookie such an amazing time at his very first convention. I met a ton of people, bought a bunch of fun slash cute little trinkets, including but not limited to this little dragon hair plushie, which I absolutely love. I even got into, well, not quite into, but I caught notice of this new collectible card game called MetaZoo, which I'll be honest, it was described to me as Magic the Gathering and Pokemon trading card game had a love child that is being played by Deadpool. And I'll be honest, that kind of description has me rather curious. But into the meat of my day, I met some seriously amazingly talented and impactful voice actors today. I met Eric Stewart and Dan Green, Seto Kaiba and Yugi Moto, respectively. I mean, of course, they both have had amazing roles, such as with Eric Stewart, he's also Brock and James from Pokemon. Dan Green, he's also Entei from Pokemon, as well as actually Mewtwo from Pokemon as well. Now that I think of it, as well, he's Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog. Both of those guys were extremely nice and extremely chill. I spent the least amount of time with them, but the bit that I was able to speak with them, they were very chill. Now, Erica Schroeder, that woman is truly beautiful in every sense of the word. In the traditional sense, yes, she is a stunning lady. Let's put that out there. She is drop dead gorgeous. But even more than that, just as a person, she stood out to me as someone who is very warm, kind hearted, and inviting. Honestly, her personality kind of matches up with her Nurse Joy character from Pokemon. Actually, now that I think of it, all three of those guys voiced in Pokemon. I didn't even realize that. Huh. But yes, she's an amazing woman. And I'm pretty sure I blushed like crazy when we took our pictures. And speaking of which, I actually got autographs and pictures from all three of them, which was a time and a half, I have to say. They've all voiced in anime that brought me, as well as countless other kids, both 90s, 2000s, and later, so much joy. And I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say that we are eternally grateful to them. Um, Later on, I actually met Roger Craig Smith. Now, that was interesting because I really only knew him as the voice of Batman in Arkham Origins, as well as a couple of Batman animated movies, which I don't believe they were tie-ins. It just happened to be other movies, and I personally think he did an amazing job. But then I later found out he voiced Sonic the Hedgehog in pretty much every media that I didn't play or watch involving Sonic, which is kind of ironic. And not only that, but he's also Deidara from Naruto. That was interesting. I never recognized him. But what really struck me is I found out later on that he's also a recurring voice actor in regular show. And when I say recurring, I do mean that in the highest degree, a whopping 225 characters in the same freaking show. Are you kidding me, Roger? Dude, did the writers ask you up front to do all those crazy freaking characters? Or was it just something that kind of just happened over time? I mean, 225 characters, that's just baffling to me. I never even heard of something like that. That's crazy. Just power to you, man. Seriously, power to you. Now, now that we've got all the fun stuff out of the way, we got to get into a slightly more serious one. And just as a disclaimer, there's going to be mentioning of a rather difficult past for me involving bullying. So, for those that get triggered by such a thing, I highly suggest you skip to another section, or maybe you may want to power through it. But there is bullying being mentioned coming up. You have been warned. Um, Johnny Young Bosch. That man, he was really down to earth. He's really chill and overall cool. I'm sure some people have already met him and realized that for themselves. He has a slight sarcastic sense of humor, which I naturally gravitate towards. He even mentioned once, like or in his early days, he used to sign his whole name Johnny Young Bosch the whole day, and after I think it was about 7 hours of doing that, he actually started forgetting bits of his name, so he decided to shorten it, which power to you, dude, for getting through 7 hours of that. I wouldn't be able to last, even a fraction of that time signing my full name, every stinking letter, and just being able to handle that. So, hats off to you on that. Um, but out of everyone, he was the most emotionally impactful voice actor. And here's why. Just like any of the other 90s kids, well, not any, but many of the other 90s kids, I grew up watching Power Rangers. I mean, go, go, Power Rangers. That was my Saturday morning right there. Um, I've also faced a lot of bullying when I was younger. I was that short, fat, geeky black kid who did not fit into any mold that anyone could think of. I was just different from everybody else to the point where even I didn't even realize why. But that caused me to be ostracized and bullied on a pretty severe level. But then I turned on the TV one day and I saw six teenagers with attitudes saving their town and the world on a regular basis. These are kids, really. It seemed like they were adults to me, but they were high schoolers. They were a bunch of kids only a few years older than me, and they had literally the world on their shoulders. But they took that every single day because it was the right thing to do. Because to me, they weren't just, fighting the Putty Patrol or taking down some random monster that Rita Repulsa cooks up. To me, they were everyday heroes standing up to their bullies and the town's bullies every single day. That, excuse me for getting emotional, but that was so inspiring to me that At one point, I even took up martial arts and boxing to because not only did I just wanted to be like them. Like I wanted to be that kid who stood up to others and stood up for himself. But I never had the confidence to do so because like who was I to go against the crowd? But they not only necessarily went against the crowd, but they protected the crowd. Even when that crowd would ostracize them, they still protected them. And that was just profound to me. And when I took up martial arts, first Taekwondo, then eventually Kempo, and years later I found my way studying Wing Chun. It all roots back to the fact that when I first took up martial arts, I found a self confidence that I never knew that even existed. Even though I never really got into fights as a kid, I was always a peace loving type. I still found a voice that allowed me to say, hey, leave them alone. This person has done nothing to you. If they're different from what you expect, fine. That's no reason to harass them and tear them down. If you don't like how they are, then just leave them alone. I actually stood up in front of almost an entire class and defended this girl who was getting bullied for having braces one day. And she wrote in my yearbook a few months later that she appreciated the fact that I stood up for her. She never really had the courage to do it herself, never really had the courage to just say, hey, back off. But when I did, she said that it was a positive influence to the point where she gained enough confidence to not feel ashamed about the fact that she wore braces. And it made me realize it all goes back to watching the Power Rangers. They stood up against a bully, and that gave me the strength to want to stand up and do the same thing. And it's just a positive cycle. It's a cycle of positivity that I honestly feel is so missing in this world that I can't believe how much my life has changed just from watching a what basically at the time was basically a kids show. And at one point I nearly teared up while I was talking with Johnny Young Bosch because I used to love watching Adam Park, Tommy Oliver, Jason Lee Scott, even Rocky, Aisha, Trini, may God rest her soul, Kimberly, Catherine, all of them, they all had such an impact on me and so many other people that I just wanted to shake his hand and thank him for inspiring me through such a difficult childhood. I'm sure he probably hears that all the time, but I like to think that knowing that he had a positive impact on someone else's childhood, no matter how often he hears it, I like to think that it's something that he enjoys hearing. They say never meet your heroes, but I truly met a hero today. And you know what? He's one cool ass dude. He really was. I'm sorry I had to get a little emotional there, but today's Collecticon, it really had a positive impact on me. Seeing so many people both dressed up and in casual wear just getting together and just enjoying being an open level geek and nerd on any level imaginable. I truly believe conventions are one of the greatest things to ever be invented. There is no judgment. There is no, bullying. There's no negativity. Literally, the worst type of thing you'll hear, hopefully, will be no, this anime character was better than this one. No, this Power Ranger was better than that one. That's the worst thing I want to hear coming from a convention. A friendly, fun little debate. I truly cannot thank everyone at Collecticon enough for being so kind and so patient with basically a straight up rookie to a convention. A longtime geek, a lifetime gamer, but a convention newbie. And nobody cared. They just said, hey, it's your first convention? Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Here's what we've got. Check it out. So, in saying all that, I hope that you inspire positivity in someone else's life. Lord knows we get enough negativity in this world to probably create a whole nother planet at this point. Take the time to really, if you can, affect a positive change in someone else's life. Even just one person can benefit from something as simple as you will be okay. It's a dark time now. You're facing through a struggle, but you will get past it and you will be a stronger, smarter, more spiritually aware person for it. And that is a priceless thing, being able to pass along a message like that. All right, everyone. I believe it is my time to go, but I gotta go fast. So I want everyone out there to stay safe, trust in the heart of the cards, and may the power protect you all.